Single at 40 podcast. Let's go. Got Glenn in the background. Hey. So we got a very special guest now. New upcoming YouTuber, Faith Lexi.
Hi.
So we met her last night, literally downstairs at the Carousel bar. Our friend Adrian, we were having a drink with him, and her and her father walked in. They're friends of Adrian, and Adrian let me know that she's a new vlogger here in the Philippines. And instantly, I was like, let's do this. Let's stare you down for a podcast. And she graciously said yes. So here we are. Welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You like to go by Lexi or Faith? I've heard people call you Faith. I've heard them call you Lexi.
Either or.
Either or.
Yeah.
All right,
just whatever you're comfortable with.
Sounds good. So let's hear your story. Born and raised. Where are you from?
Born in Long Beach. So I was born and raised in the States. Lived here for a little bit when I was little. But Mount Pinatubo erupted in 91, so then we ended up going back to the States, lived in California for a while, and then moved to Las Vegas. And that's basically where my family and I have been a majority of the times until last year. Came down here, came to the Philippines.
So high school years, like Las Vegas?
High school is a mix between California and Las Vegas.
What part of California do you live in?
Oceanside.
Oceanside.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dad's a Marine?
Air Force.
Air Force, okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you lived in the Philippines?
Now about a year.
So what brought you? What was the transition like?
So it actually was kind of on accident. It was very spontaneous. My dad was living here, and then I found out he was living here alone. So then I can't have that. So I decided to go ahead and move down here. I literally had no idea what was going to happen. I just packed 2 suitcases, put my stuff in storage, and came here.
Wow.
And then I just haven't left since. I'm still here.
Awesome. So you said you spent some time here as a kid.
Yes.
Did you come back at all in between moving here? Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah. When I come here, it's usually about for a year span. So I'll come here, hang out for a year, and then go back to the States, and then come back again, live here for a year, and then go back to the States.
So you've been doing that pretty consistently.
I've done it about 3 times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where do you usually, when you come stay for a year, is it all in the Pampanga area or?
Yeah, actually, it's mostly in the Pampanga area. Sometimes I'll go to Manila for a little bit. There was a period of time where I was in Makati. There's times where I lived on an island for a few months in Bicol. It's 20 minutes boat ride from the mainland, no electricity. So that was interesting.
Full province.
Then hung out in Baguio for a few months. So just depends. I kind of just go with the flow.
Baguio is a place I haven't been, but it seems pretty cool.
Nice.
It's
Yeah.
Up in the mountains, right?
Yes, it's cooler there.
Wow, that's cool. Makati is a good place, especially if you're young. I mean, that's a good big party town. We've been out there a few times, but we spend most of our time here when we come, or we like to travel out to the different islands too.
Yeah. I like it mostly here. It's just that this is where I kind of grew up because of Clark Air Force Base at the time. So this is kind of the area that I'm used to the most.
Home.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what kind of work did you do back in the States?
Oh, wow. I did a lot of things. Mostly worked as an independent contractor, worked with agencies. So in Las Vegas, there you can do you can work with multiple agencies. So I worked with multiple model and talent agencies. So I did a lot of modeling and then character work, and then sometimes I'd manage. Sometimes I'd be booking models, sometimes I do wardrobe, sometimes I do production.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes I do camera work.
Nice. So, that industry kind of goes hand in hand with nowadays with content. And,
yes.
So I know you just started your YouTube, but are you big on any of the other social media platforms, being an ex-model and working in that industry?
I was posting a lot on Instagram before. It's not something that I frequent. It's social media has always been where I post my work. So anytime, especially for modeling, being a brand ambassador, they want you to post, I've been a brand ambassador for Patron, for Perrier Jouet, Absolute Vodka, a lot, Malibu. So they want you, to go and post and show what you're doing, and that's basically what I was doing a majority of the times. But after I kind of just go in and out of modeling because that's kind of what's nice about it. You can do it for a little while, get your paycheck, and then go on
Yeah,
vacation.
yeah. Hence your lifestyle,
Yes.
coming back and forth from the Philippines. No, that's really cool. No, it's super intriguing because I know that industry, like you said, the brand ambassador and whatnot, they all go hand in hand. So that's interesting to see now that you're doing it on your terms, right? Like
Yes.
your own channel, what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's kind of a challenge. It's kind of like how we were talking earlier, how if you're doing a podcast alone, it's different than doing a podcast with a team or with another person. So for me, it's like I'm used to getting the work from the agent. The agent will say, okay, well, do you want to work this gig? Do you want to go be a mermaid at Red Rock Hotel for an hour? And I'm like, sure. Like, okay, we have the costume already, so just show up at this call time. So I go in, I I get my hair done and everything, and then I put the costume on, and then I can't walk. Someone has to carry me. and then I sit there, I have a little fan, I smile, and then it's there for an hour, and then that's it.
Wow.
So it's like I'm used to more of that. Or like if I was a brand ambassador, like if I was working with Jameson, then I go over to the agent, I pick up the product, and then I bring it over to the venue, and then there's stuff like that you have to take notes on, and then you give out free shots, you give out swag, and then afterwards you drop off whatever's left over, drop off the product, and then call it a day.
So you actually have an unbelievable foundation to do what you're now doing.
I know, isn't that ironic?
No, it's cool. Like that, I'm super intrigued by it because I obviously just met you last night, right?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about, I didn't want to ask her too many questions last night because I knew we were going to do the podcast today. So I was like awkwardly sitting there, like I don't want to talk to this girl. I'm going to talk to her tomorrow. But yeah, no, that's super intriguing to me because I've been studying social media and all that stuff for a while before we start our channel and just watching it. And the whole model brand ambassador thing's such a big deal. And it's cool to see somebody that's like, all right, I've done that, and now I'm going to break away and do my own thing. And, but you have the tools and everything behind you already. Like, you already know what you need to do.
Yeah. I was working with Snapchat for a little bit while I was modeling. And what's cool about Snapchat is if you have music on your phone, you can record from your phone, like with the music playing in the background. So I used to do that. That was actually where I was testing, like, how I would film something. And then I just did it because it was fun. Like, I would think of random scenarios, and I do think I'm easily amused. I should probably say that. So I would take like a still video, like the camera's there, and then I just walk across like with a wagon full of stuff, and that's it. Like I'm just like, here's the camera, and I'm just like walking across. And I think it's like a funny thing because of the way that I film it with the music, because it's very random. Like you're expecting to see, oh, she's modeling, oh, she's gonna be in a bikini, and then I'm just like walking across the camera, just with my wagon. So it's just that, like I would just do random things like that. And then sometimes I'd play with it. I'd have fun with it if I was working with girls that like wanted to mess around a little bit. So, we'd run around and film that. Like it was one of those things where it unintentionally, I would try to sync the audio and sync, the scenes and make sure that it created a story. And it was just something that I enjoyed doing. So that's actually what, in a way, doing it the way like the YouTube now is that I'm like rediscovering how to do it in a different aspect instead of running around in a bikini, with Patron or champagne.
But you have, like I said, you have that foundation of knowing.
Yeah.
I mean, see, like one of the struggles for us and a couple other people we've talked to is like being in front of the camera. Like I didn't grow up in front of a camera. Like I'm 45 years old. Like cell phones weren't around when I was a kid, and obviously kids nowadays, they're filmed from birth on everything they do, right? Yeah. But being a model, you're obviously not, scared to be in front of a camera, right?
I am.
You are,
yes,
still. Well, let's talk about that. How do you mitigate that?
I don't think about it. I make it more focused. I guess like when there's the creative aspect is involved, I get so focused on that. Okay. I get so focused on wanting to create this video or this moment. And most of the times it's because I think it's funny. Like I watch it and I'm just laughing hysterically, and nobody else will think it's funny except for me, but that's usually why I end up filming it. And then I don't really look at the other person's perspective of how they see it. I just do it because I think it's fun or funny.
But that's what you should do. Like, yeah, that's literally us and Chad were talking about. That's the key to success on social media.
Yeah.
Is being authentic.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I go off of. And then the friends that like know me like really well, like they'll message me when they see it and they'll start laughing because they know they understand my humor. So they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't with you." And I'm like, "Yeah."
But this is really good information, especially if someone's going to watch this, like a young lady that wants to start content creation. You have a beautiful ex-model here, and she's scared to be in front of the camera.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, people need to hear that. It's like, because that's people's biggest thing on why they don't start is the fear of being in front of the camera and exposing, letting the world
Yeah.
see them. So it's like, look at her. Like, you figured out how to do it, and that means anyone can do it, right?
Yes,
and that's what we want to promote is like, just make the video.
Just
like,
be yourself.
Yeah, just go.
Like you don't do it really for other people. Do it because that's how you want to express yourself, and that's what's real for you. That's what's authentic for you.
And that's what's going to win.
Yeah.
Like, if you stay on that path, you can't lose.
Yeah. I mean, even before I started modeling, I was here, and I had my own TV show too. Oh, wow. So it's like there's so many things I've done. Like in the modeling industry, like I remember I was working this swimsuit event, and one of the models, he's a guy. He knew that I don't like taking pictures. So he would do things where he'd pretend he'd pull out a camera, but he's wearing just his shorts, like his board shorts for the event, because we're just standing there modeling. And as soon as he did that, I just turned my head. So there's a lot of photos of me like where you don't see my face, like you see me just covered, or you just see my hair, or you see the back of me, because that's how self-conscious I was in front of the camera. But then it was almost like I played a different character when I got in front of the camera. If I'm working an event, it's like I'm actually an introvert at heart, but once I'm working, I'm super extroverted.
So it's like an alter ego.
Yeah, like that's really the best way to put it, because even with like a lot of like the pictures that people would take, because when you're working, the pool, they're gonna ask to take pictures with you. They'll be like, "Oh, Jamison, can we take pictures with you?"
Oh, yeah,
and
I
I'm
can
just
imagine.
like, "Sure," and then you take the pictures and everything, and you don't really think about it. But then if I'm out in public, especially if it's like around people I don't really know, I'm not the type that would really take pictures. Like I'll forget. Sometimes it's more like I capture things from my point of view. I forget to film myself in the process. I'm just like, wow, look at the sky. And then I just film that, because those are things that I just love. Or if I see like flowers, and I'm just like, look at just the flowers like moving around. And to other people, they're just like, why am I just watching flowers moving around on your story? And I'm like, because that's what I like. Or mostly it's food. Like a lot of people know that any kind of content you see from me, there's going to be food somewhere in there, because I love food.
Definitely. So for us, being in front of the cameras, we've learned is important, right? Like if you look at our early videos, like our first video did really well, go figure. Like we watched all this stuff about YouTube and, oh, your videos are going to suck. You're going to get no views. Our first long form video blew up. And so we think we're like, oh, we know what we're doing. We're successful. And then obviously after that, we went to shit. But what we were doing early on, it was just like we would go film in the bar, our whole group, our whole team partying, and then we would just cut that up. Glenn would cut it up, put cool music to it, and then we put that up. And it's like nobody's watching it. And then it finally dawned on us, it's like nobody cares. Like, there's no substance to it, right? It's just a bunch of people partying in a bar. It's cool to look at for like 20 seconds, and then it's like, what am I watching? And you go on to the next video.
Like we thought it was cool.
Yeah, because we were partying,
Right? Yeah, because
right?
you were having fun with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we started to mess around with like voiceovers, and then like, getting in front of the camera, talking a little bit more, introducing our team. And as we started doing that, more success, more views, it's kind of caught fire. So yeah, you got to remember to put yourself in front of the camera, right?
It's just that because usually me being in front of the camera, it means I'm playing a character. So that's what I have to step out of, because it's like I wouldn't really call myself a dancer, but then my friends, they're like, well, if you've been paid to dance, then you're a dancer. So there's a brief period of time where I worked at the Pussycat Doll Pit in Caesar's Palace. And even that, like, I'm not a dancer, but I was able to get the part, mostly because they said, like, I look like Nicole, and I'm a fast learner. So I could look at what a dancer's doing in the cage next to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I do. And then I would just mimic it. So when I did that, I just played a different character. Like, because you're wearing the costume, you have your hair a certain way, you have your makeup a certain way. So when I'm like moving around, it's like I'm not really me. I'm just playing this character. And that's the same thing like when I was hosting, because I was like, at the time, my reputation was like the party princess of the Philippines. So then
Nice. That's cool.
so that's the character that I was playing.
playing, yeah.
Yeah. So I would go around, I would interview people on the red carpet at events, or I would interview people in restaurants, like depending like what celebrities were there. So it's just mostly that, like, it's just like, for me, if I'm working, like, my mentality is, okay, I'm being this character, and it's just like I have like this persona, like a feline fatale, because like me with the 9 lives, and then like a femme fatale type of persona, because it's like I play all these different characters. But then, like, now the challenge for me is to maintain the authenticity, and then at the same time, when I look at the feline fatale persona, it's like really all of those characters, all those facets are me. So when I'm showing something, it's like you'll see me in, like, as this food lover, and then you'll see me on a motorcycle, and then you see me playing with knives, and then you see me in a dress, and just being all with the aloha spirit.
But we're seeing you being you.
Yeah, and it's just like all of it is me. And that's kind of what I feel like is a challenge for people, is they're trying to be they're trying to play this character, but they're only trying to play like one part of their character, or one part of their personality, as opposed to, like, it's because you're camera shy.
Yeah,
like, you're in front of the camera, and then you're just like, okay, what do I do? And then when you're just like in front of the camera, you play the persona, and then you see the persona works, and then you stick to that. Where it's like the challenge for me is stepping out of that persona and actually just being like, no, but I'm also this. I also like blades. Like I have like a small collection of knives that I just like to play with, and it's like doesn't mean anything. It just means that I like blades. But then people are like, oh, she's an assassin.
This is like very solid advice though for people that are starting content creation. I mean, you can't get better advice than this, because, like you said, people get pigeonholed into the way they think they should be. And we've talked about this with Chad, with Eric. It's all about authenticity and just being you.
Yeah.
And maybe other girls aren't into knives, but who gives a fuck? Like, it's what you like to do.
Yeah.
And there's going to be people that come across it that want to see you play with knives.
Yeah.
It's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So you being with like your background, like being on TV shows and having that experience, like, you've seen it firsthand. Back in the day, there was gatekeeping for anything. You wanted to be a musician, you wanted to be a model, you wanted to be an actor. You had to get through that gate, right?
Yeah.
And that was controlled by whatever corporation or whatever fucking white male that controlled it. It's real, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays with social media, it's the gatekeeping's fucking gone.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go put your own music out on Spotify. You can go put your own modeling shots out on Instagram. Whatever you want to do, there's no gatekeeper. It's like you direct to consumer.
Yes.
And that's the big opportunity here, right? And
Yes.
I always tell people the internet's a fucking gold rush right now, and people don't understand it. My brother-in-law, when we started this, I was showing it to my sister and brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law was like, you guys are going to do well. And I was like, why do you think? He's like, look how many people consume and nobody creates. He's like, it's just basic supply and demand.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right? And he's just like,
point.
everybody's consuming. And yeah, everyone's going to tell you, everyone has a YouTube page. It's like, do they? Like, everybody looks at YouTube, but not everybody's actually creating content, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like you literally can't lose if you just keep producing. And then, like, with your advice, it's like hearing you talk's totally intriguing, because you've came from that other world. Oh. And now you're doing your own thing, and you're realizing that that's the success.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the TV show. Like, what was that all about?
It was called Club TV. It was with ABC5, and it was basically my setup. What do you call that?
This was in Vegas.
No, this was here.
Okay, it's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at the station, they had this entire setup where it looked like a nightclub. It was really cool because they had they had levels to it and everything. So people at the time. It was like Channel 2 and Channel 7, and they were like the competing channels with each other. And at the time, it's like if you were, let's say you came from Channel 2, and that's like originally where you were, if you went and visited Channel 7, it would be this like whole scandal, like, oh, they're going to switch channels, they're switching sides, and there was like always this, I guess, like kind of like little battle between them where, which one are you? Are you, I think it's like Capamilia and Capuso between Channel 2 and Channel 7, where it's just like, ironically, my channel was Channel 5 right in the middle. And what my channel, my show would do is it would bring the person from Channel 7 and their competing person on Channel 2, and they would perform together. And that was actually what I really loved about my show, was that it united people, and it wasn't going to be some sort of bad thing. It wasn't going to be a scandal. It was just about people collaborating with each other and working together and just doing like a little show together, or doing their performances together that you wouldn't normally see because they're not allowed to leave their channels. Otherwise, it's a scandal or a breach of contract or something. So I had that show, and it was mostly like I would feature like what was going on in Manila. So if there was like events going on, then I would talk about that. I would do voiceovers, and then I would interview whoever was on my channel. So it was really like a big deal at the time because I had like 30 billboards on EDSA. And it was like, there was like this one big billboard and then a bunch of like the small like flag billboards that are in the side. And then when I met one of the celebrities that guested on my channel, I literally was like, they'll introduce me and I'm like, hi, and she's like, I know who you are. And I'm like, oh. Like, oh, thank you. Like, I didn't really know how to react. She's like, I see your billboard every day I go to work. And I'm like, oh, okay. My bad. I didn't think about that. Thank you for being on my show. So, yeah, it was really interesting because a lot of people knew about my show. They knew me. But it was all, like, English speaking. Like, I had Casey Montero. So he's, like, a popular host. And then Tim Yap was on my show. Judah Paulo was on my show. Gab Valenciano. Like, there is so many people on my show, but I was kind of like new to the celebrity world in the Philippines. So I didn't know what anything meant. So anytime I would meet somebody, they're just like a normal person to me. It's not like a celebrity, like geeking out type of status when I meet them because I don't really know who they are. I just go, oh, yeah, you're the singer, or oh, yeah, you're the dancer, or you're the actress, and everything. But it's made my show like fairly popular because there was just such a good variety of like bands that would be on there too, performing. And then it ended up like I would just start going to launch parties, and they'd ask me to like host these live events. Then they would ask me to host like on the red carpet for like MTV at the time. So it was really nice. It was like a good experience because I didn't go into it like, oh, I'm a celebrity and these are like celebrities that I've grown up with or anything. It was more like, wow, like, my idol's like Audrey Hepburn. Okay. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to become famous. This is young me. I'm going to become famous, and then I'm going to help people. I'm going to be just like Audrey Hepburn. So then when I like became famous here, I was just like, now I can help people. Like that was just like my permission slip to step into that mode of like, okay, now what can I do so that way I can actually contribute to humanity and contribute to the world. So, but it was like one of those experiences because it was such a culture shock to be here because I was raised very American. So when people would communicate with me, and even now when I'm communicating with people, sometimes it's a challenge for me because I made like a video about it where the Filipino language is a contextual language, whereas just the American language is just very direct. So when we say something, the meaning is in the words, whereas like the Filipino language, the meaning is in the sentence. So until you hear the whole sentence, you don't really know what someone's saying. Where it's like with us, we say it directly in the words and the meaning is just the word itself. And we're like, okay, we understand. So it made it a little bit of a challenge for me at the time, especially because I barely spoke the language. And then no one was here. I was here by myself at like 21 years old.
Wow.
And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was doing. But I was really lucky because the people I met along the way just like looked out for me and supported me and made sure that I was good and made sure that I wasn't caught up in any of the industry stuff that you can tend to fall into here. But that's like also like was kind of my way of going, okay, well, I did it in the Philippines. Do I really want to do it in the States? Do I really want to do it in LA? And I'm like, no. Like it's just like my path is just so different. Like I don't feel like that would be right for me anyways. And that's why doing my YouTube channel now, I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe this is what I was supposed to do all along.
No,
And,
totally.
just thought of it in a different way. Because that's what it is. It's kind of like you have to let go of the beliefs that you grew up with and then go, okay, well, maybe it wasn't this thing that I thought the whole time. Maybe it's this other thing that was right in front of me that I just didn't see, until I was ready to see it.
No, definitely. So a question for you then, like, you obviously have that background, that celebrity background here and the modeling and whatnot. Do you not piggyback off of that to try to make your YouTube channel something bigger for a reason? Or are you going to do that? Or
I do like the flashbacks. I started doing like Faith's flashbacks because the thing is, like, even in the last like decade or so, my friends that know me that I've hung out with for like the last decade, there's like a lot they don't know. Cause like we'll have a conversation and then I'll say like, oh yeah, I met them when I did my show in the Philippines. They're like, you had a show in the Philippines?
Yeah.
And I'm just I'm like, yeah, this is why I go back to like, this is why I have the persona of like so many lives, like the feline fatale and 9 lives and everything. Because when now my friends that are close to me when I tell them something, they're just like, I'm not surprised. Like, what else have you done? Like, there's so many things that you've done. And that's just like what I said. I just go with the flow. Like, I go with where the energy is.
Where it takes you.
Yeah. I'd say like trying to, like, I have been asked if I wanted to get back into the entertainment industry here, but it isn't really something that interests me. It's one of those things where it's just like, if you've already done it, like, why go back and do it again?
Oh, I totally get that.
So and then it's just like, I guess technically I'll share my story. Like, I'll share that, yes, I used to model, and yes, like I, used to have my own show, but it's not really like who I am today. Like, these are things that helped me become who I am today, but I think about completely different things. Like the things that, even a video that I posted this morning, it was like more of an inspirational video because that's kind of what I prefer to put out there, and that's where I prefer the focus to be, rather than just be like, oh, I was in the entertainment industry and, I look like this, look at me, because that's not, it's like, it's not part of my values. Like, of course, like, look well, look like you've got yourself together. But my values are more about integrity, kindness, authenticity.
No, you've totally answered my question, and full respect to you, because most people would piggyback off of that past to, get to where you want to go now with that. But hearing you talk about and explain it, it makes perfect sense. And I love the integrity of it, and I totally respect you for it. Like, that's awesome. I do think, though, unsolicited advice, you should not keep that world hidden, because it's like, it's super interesting, right? And I think if you have any goals of inspiring people, like I talk to so many people that are just so scared to start, and it's like looking at your past and your path to get to where you are, like, you have a lot of value, and to tell people like, I've been here, I've done this, and like now I'm doing this. It'll give people motivation, like it will inspire people, because just like the integrity you talked about, like, yeah, I don't want to be a celebrity anymore, but I'm going to start my own thing. And I was scared to be in front of camera then, and I still am today, but I just do it and I'm going for it. Like that will inspire people. It really will.
Yeah. I mean, that's like legitimately how I feel. And the thing is, like, I do have like social anxiety, like that's what it's termed as these days. So even when I went to the swimsuit competition a couple months ago, I was so like nervous to be around people, and it was just like, it was a whole group of people that I didn't know except for my dad and Adrian, and like I'm still like getting to know the people around, but I had so much social anxiety that all I could do was just take that energy and focus it into filming, because it's just like, okay, well, let me accomplish what I'm here to accomplish, because this was like part of the goal. And then I would talk to my dad and I'd eat, and then I'd go back to filming. And then Chad like interviewed me, And I had so much anxiety on that too. And then when I talked to my dad, I was just like, could you tell I had social anxiety? And he's just like, what? And I'm just like, I was so scared. Like, it's like I had to just like use the energy instead of like, freaking out and just like shutting down in the middle of like everything and everyone. I had to just focus the energy like, okay, let me just film, because I don't want to. Because like I've been misunderstood a lot in the past. Like even when I worked in Vegas, like with the agencies, like, cause when I'm working, like it's like, okay, I'm working, this is what I'm doing, let me accomplish this. And I try to think of like everything, cause I tend to be meticulous about things. So when, let's say I'm working an event, I have to manage the event, make sure that the talent has what they need, make sure they have like the food, water, the wardrobe, coordinate with the other talent to make sure everybody gets their break time, sometimes talk to the client, and sometimes try to coordinate with people that work there because we need chairs or tables or whatever we need, sometimes water. So when I'm doing all of that, I'm just really focused on just working and making sure that everybody has what they need and make sure that everything flows smoothly. But the way that it came off to the talent was that I was really like stuck up and full of myself. And I remember I went to this Super Bowl event and we were like dancing for this event. So I was a dancer at that time. And then because it was like in Arizona, we ended up like having roommates. So I was roommates with this one girl who didn't really know me, but she's worked with me in the past. And then as we're talking, I start just opening up to her about like who I am, like what my thoughts are, because my thoughts can be like really deep sometimes. And I start talking to her about it, and she's sitting there, she's like, oh my gosh, Lexi, I thought you were this just stuck up, full of yourself girl that just like walked around and thought she was better than everyone, and now you're just so deep. You're just the complete opposite of what I thought you were. And I'm just like, I just started laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's usually what it is because I have to play all these different personas. And what people think is really none of my business. Everything
Correct.
that a person thinks is a reflection of themselves and their
Correct.
thoughts. Even if they're thinking of another person, that's who they are. They're not,
100%.
it's not that other person they're thinking about. So then I was like, oh yeah, I'm used to that. Like that's normally what it is. And I'm really good with it. Like I'm okay with people needing me to be like a permission slip or like even a trigger, because I get triggered by stuff too. So, but when I get triggered, I'm more, even if I'm feeling emotional about it, I go, okay, yeah, this is the emotional part of it. But thank goodness that I was triggered, because there's something that I need to like look within myself. That's because why am I allowing this to trigger me? What do I need to work on with myself? What do I really need to like focus on and get to the root of that I need to release? What am I scared of that's causing me to feel this way? So that's where like my brain automatically goes. And that's how I'll start when I'm having conversations with people, like especially if it's on a one-on-one conversation. That's what the way I'll have the conversation sometimes. And they're like, wait, what? Like, this is not who we thought you were when we were working with you. What happened? And that's why I say it's just like, it's fine with me. Like if people are thinking, because it's normal, like I feel like a lot of people, all of us we're trained to be the way that we are. So it's like no one is actually inherently stupid. It just means that they're trained in this specific thing that's different than how we perceive things. So it's like a majority of us are kind of like, we're trained to suffer, and we're trained to just be inauthentic. Because since you're a kid, it's just like, don't do that. And you're just like being a kid. And it's just like, no, you can't do this. And you have to follow this. And this is the way that you do it. So it's like all these rules are put on you, and all these beliefs are put on you, and they're not even yours, because you're just like, no, I'm being a kid. If I want to spin around slowly in a circle and sing, that's what I want to do. But then they're like, stop that. We're in public right now. Don't act that way. And then from there, it just gets more and more. And then our environment, and then ancestral karma and culture and all the beliefs, like we just get this training to believe everything that we're not. And that's why I think it's important to come authentic. That's why if you do have these different parts of yourself that you feel are natural to you, it's just like, just be it. What, people don't like it? So?
Fuck it.
Yeah, it's like, and?
Have you ever read the book, The 5 Agreements?
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
literally
Yes.
just fucking summed it up. You literally just summed it up. What you said is awesome. It's so true. Like, people's opinion is their own fucking business,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But you showing this vulnerability now, I think, is going to be so motivating to different people that are wanting to do something in content or just anything in life.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
No, I think you should stay on that path because, like you said, you have social anxiety. I wouldn't pick it up in this podcast. Like,
know,
you're a super easy interview. Like, you're dominating it. So, keep doing what you're doing for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you.
But I mean, we have a mission statement. I know you just met us last night, so you probably haven't spent much time looking at our stuff. But check out our mission statement because, I mean, this is what we're trying to do through the channel and whatnot. And it's similar to the way you're thinking. And it's funny because we keep meeting people and doing podcasts with them, and then all of a sudden it's like we just align with them so well, and we didn't even know it. And we all assume, right?
Yes.
And it's like, I didn't know you long enough to have any assumptions about you, honestly.
We met like 12 hours ago.
Yeah, I just knew you had a new YouTube channel, and I looked at it, and it's like she has 100 followers or 160 some followers, and I didn't have a chance to assume, but I would have never guessed what you've just told me.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't assume, right? Like, I mean, you've blown my mind today how dynamic you are.
Thank you.
Like, sorry, Chad, but this is a much better interview.
Well, I was checking out your channel last night, and I saw some of those flashback videos you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like thinking in my head, like, what? Like, she was like a celebrity here? Like,
He was telling me some of it this morning, like, the pageantry stuff and whatnot, and I was like, oh, shit. Like,
yeah, it's kind of cool. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing, too, is just like another reason why I don't share some of the stuff from my past is because I forget.
for sure.
Like, I just straight up
It's like
forget.
a lifetime ago. kinda
Yeah,
in my
like
mind.
it goes back to like the 9 lives. Like, you just live through so many lives, and then if you change who you are, then you will forget, like, because that's not who you are anymore. You just need to remember who you are now and who you want to be.
It's all about where you're going.
Yeah.
I mean, don't forget the past. I mean, we all have experiences that, shape us and teach us, like you said, but living in the past is not the answer
No,
for
it's
sure.
not.
Like, it's all about what's today and what's tomorrow.
Yeah. It's like that goes back to like the suffering where it's just like a lot of people, like, because they're believing the beliefs from when they were children, it's just they loop the past. And then they because I talk to different people and they share like their traumas or their experiences with me, and they don't realize that every time you're doing that, like you're living in the past. You're repeating being that person that you were in that moment, but you don't have to be that person right now.
Well, yeah, don't let it define you.
Yeah.
Right?
And a lot of people do. So that's what makes it like that's what kind of like makes it like difficult for me sometimes because I don't want people to live that way.
No, not at all.
Like at all. Because it's just like we're not on this planet, we're not in this life to suffer. But we are meant to go through things so that way we learn from them. And everything will happen. Like things, to define it as bad or good, like things are going to happen to you. But what do you do with it? Like, who do you decide to become? What do you decide to do with so many people have dealt with unfortunate situations. So many people, there's soldiers that have been to war. There's people that are trying to overcome addiction. There's people that have been raped and molested. How do they overcome it? There's people that are just fully healed from it. Some people even with physical ailments that will just heal themselves because they want to let go of it and release it and decide that they're going to be who they feel is more authentic to them and not be defined by what happened to them or what's been in their environment. So it's like that's actually like the real message. Like if I had a choice of how I would fully do my YouTube, it would be mostly podcasting and talking to other people about what they've gone through and like how they feel and how they overcome it, because I want people to realize that like it's all the same. Everything that's happened between now and like thousands of years ago, it's the same thing. And it's like, I'm not a religious person, but I've started doing like a Bible study because in this country, it's like it's very Christian dominated. So in order for me to really understand the people here, I figure why not read the book, like one of the best-selling books in the world. So I just started doing Bible study, and in it, it's like every single story that's in there, it's stories that people are going through today. And I'm like, humanity hasn't changed.
No,
like,
no.
you know, like even with technology, like we're still the same. The only difference is we can use technology to our advantage and use it to spread these messages and use it to say who we are and share who we are and be authentic and discover things about ourselves. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable sometimes. Yes, there's going to be unpleasant moments, but sometimes that's what's necessary for you to figure out what you want and who you are.
Well, you have to go through that struggle or sacrifice
Yeah.
to truly be happy.
Yes.
Because there's no just easy path on anything, right?
No.
And it's like you have to work hard and achieve what you want to achieve and go through those uncomfortable moments. And that's the path is what's the true happiness. Because when you go through that whole path and then you get out to where you want to be, it's like that's what made you happy, is going through it all to
Yes.
get there. And then when you get there, it's like, all right, find the next goal, find the next thing you want to do, right?
Yeah. It's like all in hindsight, we can try to recognize like what's happened. But I mean, in reality, it just goes back to, are you happy with who you are? Are you authentic to who you are? Is this who you want to be? Is this how you want to move forward? Because a lot of people are just like functioning in their suffering or in their misery.
I call it silent desperation.
I mean, yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, so it's like instead of being there, like release it. Like figure out what you need to do. Like I've even done, like last year I started doing like inner child meditations because I realized that my inner child there's a lot to heal from the past that I just didn't understand because I was a child. So I would do this inner child meditation, and it's like I'm talking to my inner child and saying, like, you're valuable, you're worthy. There's no one more important in the world to me than you. Like, no matter what, I'm always going to be here for you. Like, I need you. Like, I love you. You know, and it's just like things like that where it kind of sounds like in some context or in some perspectives, it sounds like, oh, that's like, you know, like, oh, spiritual stuff, or, oh, like, you know, energetic stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I'm a big person of energy. Everything to me is just energy, you know, and that's the reason, that's how I've gotten to everything in my life. And I can legitimately say that there's a lot of struggles. So like when, in the moments that I've struggled the most, because I'm a person that believes that any person that's been through any kind of struggle is meant to help people. Like I legitimately believe that. And in reality, everyone has struggled. So we're all meant to help each other. Because we're human, we're meant to be community. We're meant to work together and help each other. But it's like for some reason there's a belief where it's like, no, like if you get this, then I don't win.
I love the stuff about energy because it's so true. Like whatever energy you put out is what you're.
Well, that's what's been happening with you.
Yeah, no, it's life, and I struggle watching other people put out negative energy, and then they can't get out of that negative cycle. And it's the fix is so simple. but it's not, right? People just can't get out of the negativity of their life and, you know, complaining and whatnot. And that's what we're trying to press through the podcast and our channel is whatever positivity you put out, it comes back to you tenfold.
Yeah.
And like you said, even when you're going through a hard time or struggle, like you choose how you handle it,
yes.
right? And you can sit there and be negative about it and it's going to remain negative, or you can be like, hey, this is fucked up, but now I've learned and better things are going to come, right?
Well, it's mostly like, I feel like people believe, like they believe that the negative energy serves them, because you're not going to do anything that doesn't serve you, just human nature. So it's like if they believe that the negative energy will serve them, then they're going to hold on to it and they're going to continue believing it. It's like they have to actually let go of the belief and understand it and go, is this really what I believe? Or is this something that I've just been trained to believe?
It's easier to be negative.
Yeah,
it's
literally
it
is.
Right?
It is.
It's just simpler. And unfortunately, humans are wired for path of least resistance.
Yes, yeah.
And it's always easier to find something negative in a situation than a positive.
Yeah, it's easier to be angry. It's easier to throw a tantrum. It's easier to yell at someone. It's easier to blame somebody. It's easier not to take accountability. It's all easier. But if you really are going to be who you are, it's actually the most unnatural thing to you. Like it's part of the process. It's part of human emotions. It's part of figuring things out. But it's like some people will hold on to anger because they think it makes them stronger. So they need to be angry, and they can't stop being angry, because if they let go of their anger, then they're going to be weak, and they cannot allow that. So there's so much, like ego or pride, and that belief is just like, it protects them, and it's like a defense mechanism. And it's like, for me, angry people are usually the most hurt people, and that's why they're always angry, because they haven't dealt with their pain.
For sure. It comes down to like insecurities, right?
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And we all have it.
Of course. Of course. Like, I hate the way I sound on camera, but I got over it, because it's like, I enjoy talking to people, I enjoy podcasting, so it's like, you're just going to have to live with the way you don't like the way you sound.
Yeah.
And like the first one we did, like I played it back and listened to it, and it was hard to listen to, because it's just yourself, right? And but then I started realizing, by listening to it, like I realized like things I did wrong and how I could get better. So now, like every time I do a podcast, I listen to it 2 or 3 times, so I can get better on the next one, like, and learn from it.
See, so. You're going for greatness. And in all honesty, like I love your podcast.
Thank
like
you so
I didn't see anything wrong. The whole time I was watching it, like I know that you're going to see the things that you would prefer not to do and the things that you prefer to do, but when I watch it, I'm just like, this guy is so real. I love it. Like I could just keep watching this guy, because he's so authentic.
I appreciate it. That's the nicest compliment.
So it's like, for me, it's really that. It's like another reason why I love watching like Chad's channel. Like he's just riding a motorcycle, but for some reason I can't stop watching it, because it's Chad. Like it's him and being real.
He's authentic as hell.
Yeah.
That is the secret to success in this game.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
And that's what people have to like also discover. Like that's also part of figuring it out. Like even like for me, like even though I've been on camera so many times, it's like at this point, because I'm conceptualizing and I'm creating like essentially like everything myself, I have to go through the process like, oh, okay, like this is how I'm used to putting stuff out. Like this is what I know to do. And it's just like, why do I continue doing what I already know to do? And it's just like, okay, let's just go ahead and keep doing this. And then in the process of doing it, I'm like, oh, wait, I think I could do this. And then like the answers kind of come to me. Cause that's the thing too. It's just like, I do like a lot of like prayer and meditation. So I basically, like, can you, sometimes I'm like, can you just like give me the answer? Like I just want the black and white answer. Just give it to me direct. Like I just want to know. And then I just start laughing, because I'm just like, yeah, I know I have to go through the process and discover it myself. And it's just going to be like, right now I'm uncomfortable. That's why I want the answer. But in reality, it's like when you just keep going with it, it's just like you go through your fears. You don't go around it. You don't like take, like a side quest. You just keep going through it until you face it. And that's the thing. It's just like the only way to face it is through. And so with me in facing the fear, like even this, like I was so nervous to be on camera. Like you both knew that last night. I was just like, oh, I'm so nervous. What am I going to do? What am I going to say? Like that's legitimately how I feel. But then I'm like, just do it.
Just be uncomfortable.
It's just like, it's cool.
It's you versus you. That's life.
Yes.
It's you versus you.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you've ever done a podcast?
Yes.
That's awesome, because I have no doubt you are going to blow the fuck up on YouTube. Like, I literally have no doubt. Yeah. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, this whole interview, like, I'm going to be the first guy to pop this podcast with this girl. Like, she's going to have 1 million fucking subs, and I'm going to be the first guy that got to podcast with her. That's awesome. Like, I'm stoked.
I love this. Like, I said, this is what I prefer to do, because I want the information to get out there. And the thing is, like, even with the video that I posted this morning, it's like a New Year's video, and talking about inspiration and talking about surrendering and trusting your life, because that's what it is. Like there would be moments that things would happen, and then I would think like, okay, well, do I trust my life? Like in all honesty, like it's gotten me through this. It's gotten me this far. It's just like if I trust my life, then I'll be good. Like maybe there'll be something unpleasant. Maybe there's something I don't want to go through. Maybe, but then what? So what? Like I've gone through worse than everything that I've gone through in the past. Like there's a lot of like inner turmoil that I've overcome that, and even that, like healing itself is a process where it's just like you think like, okay, I healed this, I'm good. And then something else triggers and you're like, oh no. Like, okay, so this is another layer of it. And that's basically what it is. That's what going through any process is like, as you transition, you discover more. And again, like, it might not always be comfortable, but it actually is like a beautiful part of the process if you just like surrender to it and trust it. Like, part of the social anxiety for me is also like safety reasons. So for me, I'm just like, oh, well, you know, if I let people know where I am, if I let people know like what I'm doing, then, you know, like, what if something happens or what, you know. But it's like, in reality, it's just like, okay, but do I trust my life? Like, do I trust that I'm going to be okay? It's just, and in all honesty, like, again, like, it's been like that, where I don't have to worry so much. I spent so much time worrying about things that never happened, you know, as opposed to just like, I'm just going to go ahead and live in the moment and trust the process and surrender to the flow of it all and know that it's all going to be good. It's always for my highest good, even if it's something that is what I don't prefer. Like, you could, like, let's say you really want something, but you don't get it. And then you're like, oh man, like, see, I put myself out there and I did this and it didn't work. It's just like, well, like, maybe this was part of the process. Maybe you had to discover something. Maybe you needed to take a part of that experience and use it towards the next thing. And that's always what I feel like. It's just like, whatever you're going through now is preparing you for the next thing. And that's just like, even with this, where when I recorded that video that I posted, I was like, oh, like, do I really want to put this out there? And then I'm just like, yeah, because this is actually the messages I want to be out there. Like, this is like where my heart is, where I want to give the tools and the perspective to people that will help themselves, because I can't help everybody. But if I can present something to them, even if it's just a perspective or an experience or a moment where they can use that to help themselves, then like, I'm so content and so grateful for that, because that to me is what life's all about. It's just like, people nowadays are so competitive about everything, where it's just like, for me, I'm just like, if you're winning, then we're all winning.
100%. We talked about that chat earlier. I totally agree with you. And like you said, if your channel just helps out change one person's life, it was all worth it.
Yes.
Even if it's just one person.
Yes.
I guarantee you're going to help a lot more than one. But even if you just helped one, it's worth it, you know?
Yes.
And that's our channel. That's what we're trying to get people, is to step out of their comfort zone and travel and have fun and enjoy their life. So like, if one person at the end of the day decides to do that based off what we've shown them, and it's a win, you know.
Yes.
It's a win. And long term, we're just like, whatever, no matter what, we're going to have all this shit documented for ourselves. So
Yes.
that's the other cool part.
That's how it all started, basically.
But I love your stoic look on, you know, worrying about stuff and wasting too much time worrying about shit that never even happens. Like, you got to free yourself of that, and it sounds like you have. But, I mean, for us, and I'm sure you already realize this, like, the path on YouTube's long for, like, what we're trying to do and kind of like what you're trying to do. And you could sit there and put up bikini pics of yourself with a thumbnail and probably blow up real fast,
Yeah.
right? But that's not what you want to do,
No.
right? Which I understand. And the whole positivity and, like, you know, trying to help people and share your story and show your vulnerability like you're doing, it's a longer play.
Yes.
But it's going to be a bigger one, and it's going to be a valuable one. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
it.
I know my dad was saying something about that, because he was like, you need a viral video. And I'm like, no. I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want a viral video. He's like, why? I was like, no, because it's like, there's so much pressure. You have a viral video that goes out there, and then, you know, you blow up, and then people are expecting it, and then they're expecting you to do viral, and then you're just like putting all this pressure on yourself, trying to figure out how to do something that's for other people, where it's just like, no, all you have to do is be true to who you are. All you have to do is follow whatever it is that your inner spirit or your passion or your gifts are like telling you to do, and just follow that, and it'll happen. Because for me, it's just like, I don't care if it takes me a decade, as long as there's a community, and as long as it's including people that resonate with what I'm putting out there. And in that community, we can all help each other, like, all be there for each other. Because there's like I listen to a lot of like frequency music. So sometimes when I look at the comments on the frequency videos, like, it's so beautiful. Like, because people will just put comments there. Like, whoever is reading this, I hope that you are healing. I hope that you are living in love, and I wish you the best. And it's just like constant like variations of comments of just like positive energy, you know. And then it's just like that became apparently, because one of my friends told me this, because I was living in the Philippines during the pandemic, but one of my friends told me that in the States, toxic positivity became a thing. And I was like, what's toxic positivity? And then the way it's just like, you're just too positive. And I'm just like, are you being too positive, or is the positivity inauthentic?
That's what it is.
You know, and like, and that's what I discovered what it was like in the long run. I was just like, because they would say, oh, you would be known for toxic positivity. I was like, but when I'm positive, I'm being genuine. Like, I'm being honest about that.
It can't be toxic if it's genuine. But like, what they're talking about is 100% fake positivity.
Yeah.
Which can be toxic, right?
Yeah, because it's like they're trying, it's one of those things where they're going, oh, it's like mind over matter. If I just fake it till I make it, then I'll be all good. It's just like, you can fake it till you make it, but if you're not dealing with what's actually there for you to deal with,
make it.
Yeah, you won't make anything.
No.
Like, I mean, if you're okay with being miserable, or you're okay with being fake, or if you're okay with suffering, then, you know, if that's your passion, hey, no judgment, like, more power to you. Do whatever you feel is good for you, because there is a niche of people that also do that same thing, and they like living there, which is cool. Like, again, no judgment. That's just not where my vibe is. Like, I'm very much a person that if I'm somewhere and even the energy just changes, I hop on my bike and I ride out. I'm just like, all right, bye guys. And they're like, sometimes I don't even say bye, I just leave. I'm like, oh no, the energy changed. All right, I'm out. And then I just go. Like I just follow the flow. Like I always feel like I'm being like guided in a sense. Even coming here, like, was very much like I felt like I was guided to come here, and like it's like worked out more amazing than I ever would have thought. It's like, for me, the definition of abundance is having everything you need to have when you need to have it. And that has been what I've experienced a lot being here. And because I've experienced it so much, I'm like, wow, coming here when I had no idea what was going to happen and no idea what I was doing, best decision. Like, thank you.
Our email address that's connected to our YouTube is Living in Abundance.
Really?
That was gonna be like our channel name before we changed it.
That was going to be the channel name, but it was just too long. And but that's the email, like Living in Abundance.
That's wonderful.
So it's been awesome having you. Like, you are super dynamic. This has been super cool.
Thank you.
I have no doubt you're headed in a fantastic direction, and your channel's going to blow up. I have no doubt. Just stay on the path and just keep being you. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate this. Like I appreciate like both of you guys for giving me the opportunity to do this, because I was literally like, all the things that I was scared of. Like I'm saying it really, like, as real as it is. Like, I'm telling you guys, this is what I was scared of. Like, I'm getting ready in my room and I'm like,
keep showing that vulnerability.
You know?
It's going to help people. Like,
so it's like, it's really nice, because then I was just like, what if it's not well received? And I was like, and?
Yeah, that's it.
Then what?
authenticity is always well received.
Yeah.
Always. You can't go wrong with it.
Yeah, so I really appreciate having this opportunity, like, you guys, like, honestly giving me this opportunity, especially because I met you like 13 hours ago.
We're
Funny how the world works. So,
Yeah.
like stoked that you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
All we've been doing since we've been here is trying to put out positive energy, and like, look what returned to us.
That was
Well done.
Faith shows
It's
up.
been awesome listening to your story.
Thank you.
We'll do this
Appreciate
again next time we come to the Philippines. We got your
Yeah.
contact. We'll sit down and talk again and see where you're at and where you've been going since. And,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll put your link down in the comments when Glenn posts this podcast, and hopefully we can help you grow a little bit. But just keep doing what you're doing. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for allowing me to do this, and thank you for receiving it so
course.
well. Thank you.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. All right, Faith.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.